So, as promised, we're going to have a look at the big business stories of the week, and Vishala's here with me in the studio to take a look at some of them. So, let's start off with, what a victory for the insurers this week.
Yes, they've done quite well. So there's a proposed change to the Ogden rate. Now, if you look at the way victims are compensated in the courts, they are awarded a lump sum of money with in mind of the interest rate. So the higher that interest rate is, the lower that compensation payment is. This government report that came out yesterday, looks to side the insurers. So it means that this interest rate will probably go up, which means the compensation amount that insurers give to victims will be lower. So victims less happy about this, insurers delighted. We saw share prices increase quite considerably of the top insurers yesterday. OK,
good news for them. Not such good news for Bell Pottinger, the PR company that's been struck off the industry body list.
Yeah, they've not had a great week, to put it lightly. Media reports earlier this week that the staff were told that the company could go into administration as early as next week because they weren't able to find a buyer. We also heard today that its Asian unit is looking to relaunch under a different name. They're hoping to distance themselves from Bell Pottinger. We saw Bell Pottinger South Africa lose a couple of key clients after an investigation was launched into its activities there. So reputational damage management is what's happening there.
And finally, the pub. Apparently we're not spending enough money in the pub, is that right?
I know, it's hard to believe that, isn't it? Yes, Green King, a big pub operator, they reported a slump in sales over the summer period and also a bit of a bleak outlook because of consumer spending being slower because of higher inflation. We've seen inflation shoot up this year, and so they're saying that's affecting their pockets. Well, we can get more on this with Richard Dunbar, Investment Director at Aberdeen Asset Management. Thanks for joining us, Richard. So let's start off with that Ogden rate change. Insurers are certainly happy about this. Is this going to stick, do you think?
Well, it is. It's a peculiar set of tables. It's rather esoteric, but it's very important for the insurance companies. The raising of interest rates will mean that insurance companies have to pay less to accident victims. The byproduct of that, of course, is that insurance premiums for those paying them are also likely to fall. But as you say, insurance company shares were up a touch yesterday, given this victory for the insurance sector.
Yes, and it's pending government approval here. But will it see premiums be lower in the long term as well?
Well, in theory, it should. You know, the payments made to accident victims have been high, much higher than the insurance companies thought they should be. They thought that interest rate assumed was far too low. It wasn't that they didn't want to pay out as such, as that they thought that the rate was too low, and therefore the amounts that they were paying wasn't fair to either side. Time will tell whether the new rates or the new rates decided are fair, and no doubt it will be changed over time if it's deemed they are not. But that should feed through to premiums for buyers of insurance.
OK, Bell Pottinger is featured in the business headlines quite a bit this week. We heard today that its Asian unit is ring-fencing, saying that they're solvent and also are preparing to launch under a different name. Do you think they'll be successful in doing so? Because in terms of reputational damage, that's certainly taken its toll.
Well, it just shows you for a people business, or indeed any business, reputation is everything. And in this case, obviously, Bell Pottinger's reputation is, to put it mildly, in tatters. Obviously, the Asian business feel they have a stronger franchise. They've changed the name to try and obviously disassociate themselves from the core business. Doubts, as you noted, are around the viability of the business as a whole. But it just shows you, if you lose your reputation, the professional body that they're part of also shared that view, and their clients are also voting with their feet also.
OK, Richard, I was going to ask you about why we aren't spending enough money in the pub, but I don't have any time. So thanks for joining us. Richard Dunbar there from Aberdeen Asset Management. We'll swap him for the markets. Now, FTSE 100 was mostly in the red for most of the day. Green King, that pub operator, one of the biggest fallers because of lower consumer spending in the pub. Well, that's it for me. Ben?
Go and spend some money in the